to the new moon in Taurus intention planting ceremony. It's always a mouthful to say, but it's the best way to describe what we're about to do. So this is the point in the lunar cycle where we plant our intentions or we plant our desires. And this moon, we are quite literally going to plant our desires. I talk about it every new moon, but this moon, it's actually happening. But first, what we're going to do is you're going to get your four square together. As I've mentioned, you just need a blank piece of paper or access to the PDF somewhere where you're seeing this, or in the members area of the Lunar Manifestations members only area. You have all of these in there, the pretty flower versions of these. Otherwise, just get a blank piece of paper. And you'll want it to be blank front and back. And you're going to fold it into fourths. And then you're going to plant your four quadrants. So when folks are first moving through this ritual or this intention planting ceremony for the first time, even for the first year, I always recommend using words like ease, there we go, health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression. That's adapted from a Florence Scovel-Shinn. She's a metaphysician, author, long time. She's been passed for a long time. And that's taken from her book, The Game of Life and How to Play It. And it's a great way to kind of like break our life up into segments or quadrants and kind of say like, well, what am I trying to cultivate here? And what am I trying to cultivate here? What do I want to blossom here? And what do I want to grow here? Health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression are kind of like concrete terms. Health, your physical well-being, your emotional well-being, your spiritual well-being. Wealth, your financial abundance, your career, your ways that you generate income, the ways that you show up in service of others in this physical lifetime, and then receive payment back in turn, right? Because whatever we give out, we deserve by divine right. That's an actual metaphysical principle, by divine right, to receive in return. So, well, health, wealth, love. How do you give love? How do you receive love? Who are you giving love to and who are you receiving love from in this physical expression? This quadrant can also be used for love with like a loved one in spirit. So if you're a developing medium or if you're expanding your spiritual gifts, it can also be a great quadrant to plant your connections to strengthen your connection with spirit. So because they operate, our loved ones in spirit, operate the vibration of love. So it's one of the highest, or it is the highest frequency. I don't know that there is a vibration higher than love and pure unconditional love. And that's where they can most easily reach us. That's where we can most easily reach them. So when we're cultivating a lot of love in our life, it makes us a vibrational match to the frequency that they are in, and they're able to connect with us much easier. And then lastly, perfect self-expression. So how do you show up in this world? Is it volunteering at a cause that you care about? Is it working with children? Is it going out into the community? Is it showing up as your authentic soul self and sharing your woo with people? Is it developing your spiritual gifts? What is it that makes you a unique expression of divine source? Or like what makes you a unique spark of light, a unique spark of divine light? It's a funny way of saying it, but what is it in this life that only you came here to do, right? And how can you move more into that authentic place? So perfect self-expression is a great place to if you're just trying something new, like maybe you want a new hairstyle. I was talking to somebody who wanted to paint their nails and had never done it before, and that would be an exact example of perfect self-expression. Doing something that maybe you feel like you might get some backlash about, or maybe you might feel like there is some resistance to you honoring that part of you. For me, perfect self-expression is speaking out publicly about mediumship and manifesting and moons and all things metaphysical, which nowadays in the 2020 era does not seem weird. It's actually kind of becoming mainstream. It's ironic. I have a podcast, it's perfect self-expression. Not a Divinations, my podcast, literally the tagline is where the metaphysical meets the mainstream, because I was very mainstream. I was a high school social studies teacher for over a decade. I was in corporate America, and I'm an army wife and a mother, and I wasn't necessarily raised with metaphysical principles. I talked a lot about my mother being a physician, and raised around like people who were elderly and infirm for patients, spending a lot of time with them during their death transition. So I was very comfortable with that process, and I happen to know a lot about like the intricacies of it. We always left space in our life for like conversations about angels, and actually near-death experiences was something that was really, really talked about heavily in our family, mainly because we knew people who'd experienced them. We had them experienced within our family, and then my mom's patients. She had a lot of situations where it opened up our family view to those types of things, even without being raised with kind of like a metaphysical or woo-woo or spiritual background, like chakras and crystals and sage and, you know, shells and feathers, like the whole thing that you think of when you think of like metaphysical and woo was just like outside of our purview. Grew up in rural Alaska, and nature was our church. I mean, we did go to church, but nature was our church. Perfect self-expression, that's just kind of like to give you an idea. So maybe in your perfect self-expression quadrant, you're planting the intention to share your gifts with somebody, or offer them as a service to the world. Or maybe not so well. It's up to you. Now, if you've been doing this for a while and you want to move your practice in another direction that's maybe a little more elastic or ethereal, where you can kind of, it's like not so concrete and it's a little bit more difficult. This takes more, what would we call this? Attention. This takes more attention, because you have to really monitor how things are coming along, because it's not so concrete. You can't quite see the instant results. Like, I want to, I don't know, cut my hair and show up with a new haircut. That's a random thing, but it's a very concrete thing. It's like a before and an after. Things that might be a little bit less tangible would be using words like ease, flow, connection, and expansion. So for me, when I plant those intentions, ease is, I use it with a health mindset. Like, how can I have easy days that are joy-filled, that bring me like health and vitality and give me plenty of energy to get through my days and do, you know, what it is that I personally love, while also being of service to others and like being, you know, being a present wife and mother. Okay, that's a big quadrant. That'd probably be like a micro to macro, maybe several intentions, several moons. But you get the drift. It's like a little bit wider of a concept. Ease. Flow is, I also use that more as like an abundance, but not necessarily in a money or a monetary exchange. Like, there's no actual currency that's being exchanged beyond the currency of energy. So you may or may not have heard me talk about this before. I don't believe in money. I don't think it's a real thing. Sometimes I get trapped in my human illusion and get like focused on it, because, you know, there are very real things like, oh, the water heater in our rental unit went out and I'm gonna have to get that fixed, and oh, the tenants are like, you know, just like real things. But really, what all of life is just an exchange of energy. So money is just a currency. It's just a physical property that we have invented as humans to exchange goods and services. It used to be wool, like used to be pellets, animal pellets, furs, precious metals. The currency that we as humans exchange, sometimes it's even, currency is not actually even tangible goods. It's a service, right? They say the oldest, well, you guys know what the oldest occupation is. I won't go into it. But it's an energetic exchange at its base. So when I talk about flow, it's how can I attract abundance into my life so that I can then share it with others, because nothing is meant to be hoarded. And you'll see throughout these rituals, there's a lot of energy put towards moving things. And I do a lot of this because that's what life is. It's all about whatever comes in has to go out. Everything cycles through, because when we get to the other side, we literally don't get to take any of it with us. We all know that. But it somehow escapes us in our day-to-day reality. Using something like flow might be a great way to start getting the energy of abundance to move in your life, and maybe use like a little bit less tangible wording for that instead of I want to make $10,000 next month on this launch or this, I get a big contract, or I want to get that big promotion or whatever. Maybe change the wording to I want to attract, or I am attracting, because we always want to use positive, like affirmative statements like I am, like claims it. I am drawing in abundance that will circulate in my local economy in ways that, X, Y, Z. So you put that in there. Ease, flow, connection. Connection is the one that I always use with spiritual gifts, especially if you've been at this practice a while. Helping our spiritual gifts is all about taking the time to connect, taking the time to reconnect, and taking the time to connect again. So it's a process, just like anything else. And it's a building of relationships with our team in spirit, our loved ones in spirit, master guides and teachers. Some folks even connect with like other entities from other planes of existence. It's a matter of continual connection and like refining that connection. So just like you would plug into, get on the internet, you'd connect to the internet. This is an old reference, but like we turn the dial on the radio, or we turn the dial on a TV to connect. Actually, no, this is what we do now. We would like go back. It's a matter of fine-tuning that connection. So you could plant a micro intention to doing that in the next 2 weeks to 6 months. Something I failed to mention, planting a micro and a macro intention for each of these patterns. The micro being something that you hope to manifest it into your reality in the next 2 weeks, which is the time between the new moon and the full moon. And a macro intention, which is something you hope that manifests between now, the Taurus new moon, and the Taurus full moon in 6 months. Always make sure you note on the back of your intention sheet, just put like the date of the next full moon so that, when it comes up, I'm like, oh, and it's a really great way to be like, what did I plant? Oh, that's what I got. Cool. Because the full moon is when we reflect. Okay, and lastly, expansion. So if you're not new to this platform, or even if you are, if you're resonating with this, you've tuned into this energetic space, this sacred capsule that we call Lunar Manifestations, which is a sacred co-creation space. And the reason I call it that is because the entire design of this space is to raise the consciousness of our planet. It's to help each of us who feels drawn to this space and who is engaging in this space to raise our personal vibration, our personal frequencies to a level that it has like a ripple effect, and it influences and affects everyone around us. And it's kind of like, hey, what do you want? I want some of that. And we're like, I'm on life. Plant medicine. That was a plant medicine joke for some of my plant medicine folks out there. Not one of them. Maybe like in college, but nowadays I'm a mom. I'm not trying to go do ayahuasca in Peru. We went to Machu Picchu with a 2-year-old, climbed it, like got up there. I was like, I was gonna have a big spiritual awakening, and I was just like, my kid won't wear his shoes, and like these llamas are cool, but like it was just not what I was expecting. The day before, we had gone to these amazing ruins, which were completely vacant, and like had some really beautiful encounters like on the mountain. And it was so amazing that I was like, oh my gosh, tomorrow's Machu Picchu. It's gonna be, I will just, like my crown chakra is gonna pop open. There'll be rainbows and butterflies. I don't know, maybe like the sun portal will open. I'll channel, but like I just had a lot of expectations. Nothing. It was really kind of awful. Too many tourists, lots of people. I was just really like, what happened to my spiritual awakening? I was gonna have a Machu Picchu. And then, long story, I get home and that night and realized that the day before had been that spiritual awakening, that spiritual experience that I had been craving. But because I was so focused on what was coming, I didn't enjoy the moment. So anyways, it's just like an expansion example of like enjoying the journey. That could just be part of your expansion. Something I'm going to say about this. I tell this story a lot about losing my diamond earrings. These are my otter earrings. And a long story. I've lost them twice in my life. Once, and a remote viewer found them for me. I've got a ritual. I believe it's the Libra full moon ritual, where I talk about that, using remote viewing to find them. And another time was at Machu Picchu. The morning we went up to Machu Picchu, going to Machu Picchu is crazy. You've got to we were in Paraguay in South America. We flew from Asuncion to Lima, and then from Lima, we took another 2-hour flight to Cusco, mind you, I had a 2-year-old, and I think I was either pregnant with my second, or no, we got pregnant right after that trip. Because I went to the top of Machu Picchu, and I was like, here we go. Like, I'm ready for another baby. Why are you going to come join us? And then I was kind of like, all right. Like, I got kind of like mixed signals, because I was like, anyways, expectations. So long story short, Lima, Asuncion to Lima, Lima to Cusco. And then from Cusco is like an 2-hour drive to Aguas Calientes. And then like a 2-hour train. I can't remember. It was like planes, trains, and automobiles just to get to the top of Machu Picchu, and then like a bus. It was a whole thing. And somewhere along when we were on the train, so we're like 4 or 5 hours, 6 hours into this journey, traveling companion was like, oh, you lost your earring. And I was like, oh my gosh, no. It was like an anniversary gift from my husband. I always wear them. And I'm like looking on the train frantically, and we were just about to have like a nice tea and all that. And I was like, you know what? It's gone. Like, I've looked, it's gone. I'm going to surrender to the fact that it's gone. And I like started making plans. I was like, okay, I'm going to turn this one into a ring. Like, I don't know. Like, it's a first world problem. It's like, what do you do when you lose one of your diamond earrings? Okay, I know. I surrendered it, and I decided not to ruin the day stressing about it. And then, we did have a good time at Machu Picchu. It was a really beautiful experience. We traveled all of South America and had amazing experiences at all of them. So they're all very unique. But Machu Picchu is kind of one of those places that Westerners like peg as like a place you got to go and think you got to do. So I released it, and don't worry guys, there is a point to this story. Hold on. And we did the trip in reverse, another like 6 hours back down, and then we get back to our hotel at like who knows what time. I got a little bit of altitude sickness. I was like, okay, you know what? It's time to go to bed. And I released the day. I was like, okay, it wasn't exactly what I was expecting, but you know what? I'm still so happy to be here with my family. We were at the Marriott, like in Cusco. I was like, it was just stunning. I was like, you know what? This is amazing. It was something that had been on my vision board for a long time, and I had manifested it. And I was like, I'm just going to enjoy this as it is, without, creating an attachment to it not being exactly how I wanted it. So next morning I wake up, and my earring is sitting beside me on the bedside table. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, and then I like kind of for a minute, I was like, was it there all along? And did housekeeping find it? What? My husband said he's an Army guy. He'd been doing push-ups, and then it had gone basically under the ledge in the bathroom. And he's like, I was doing push-ups and I found it. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like, so the point is, it was something that I really wanted, and I wanted to keep this thing. And I also wanted this experience at Machu Picchu, but I just decided, you know what? I'm just going to let this all go. And I'm just going to let it unfold how it's going to unfold. And I'm going to, as quickly as I can, detach and release from this experience. And then, boom, my earring showed back up. And that's exactly how you want to plant your intentions. You want to plant them with a lot of specificity. You want to be really specific with the way that you plant them. It's like placing an order basically with the universe. You'll get what you order. It may not be exactly how you wanted it, or when or where, but the clearer you are with what you want, the quicker it will come. But the kicker is you have to release it. You can't cling to these things. So that's why sometimes I think using words like ease, flow, connection, and expansion can help our manifestations come to us a little bit quicker and with a lot more ease, because generally once we plant those intentions, we like almost instantly forget what they are, because it's for whatever reason, ease, flow, connection, expansion tend to lean towards like more I don't know what I want to, like ethereal, kind of like loose. It's like a loose manifestation, if that makes any sense. Anyways, okay, try it out for yourself and you'll see. Health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression. I think we get pretty clear ideas of exactly what that is. So it's just an invitation. Okay, with that, new moon in Taurus. This is my favorite, one of my favorite rituals, and I wore my tulip dress. My green tulips. I wear it to Marine Corps ball. I love it. I'm gonna maybe wear it to every Marine Corps ball from now until eternity. Okay. Taurus, new moon. Make a wish, big dreamer. Invisible forces are ever working for the person who is always pulling strings for themselves. Ever made a secret wish and it came true? For the better part of my life, I used to believe that some people were just born lucky. They won the birth lottery and good things just seemed to happen to them, often with little to no effort on their behalf. All while I hustled away, hoping to achieve a fraction of what seemed to come so easily and effortlessly to others. After developing my mediumship abilities and studying the law of attraction for many years, I finally realized that luck doesn't happen to just a select few. Rather, those individuals make their own luck. You see, energy flows where our attention goes, and often people who experience abundance or luck in their lives have created positive personal vibrational fields where they naturally come to expect good things. The expectant energy is admitted into the universal field where it is matched, multiplied, and returned in miraculous and usually serendipitous ways. Hello, Diamond Earring on my bedside table. Okay. The universe is funny like that. What you put into it, you get right back out. Ever noticed how individuals who come to expect misfortune usually just get that? What about that friend who's always on time, even during rush hour, because a parking spot or free lane always opens up for them? Yes, when I'm in the city, I'm the queen of parking spots. Like, I mean, like primo ones. Like in DC, I put this practice to the test, and anyways, I don't want to brag, but like, if you have to be, I know that's like a pretty cool thing to be good at. Manifesting parking spots. Okay, I've been at it for like 15 years. Okay, sorry, I digress. When we transition our belief system from ones of scarcity, false conviction that there's not enough to go around, to ones of abundance, faith that divine love always has and always will supply our every need, we release our need to control the flow of grace in our lives and let the universe unfold its magic. This month, during the new moon in Taurus, we will use the Earth's natural lunar cycles to create our own luck by making universal wishes that can draw in all the prosperity we seek from the immaterial planes to this physical plane of existence. With love, light, and a wishing well of abundant springs, the Taurus new moon is a planting ceremony. So make sure you go to the members area to access this full ritual. And what you're going to basically do is, I'm not going to give the whole thing away, but you're going to plant a wish list, like straight up, and then take a picture of it so you don't forget it, bury it, and see what comes up. That's a super short version. But I love this one. I've actually done this for several years in a row. Every year for Mother's Day, my husband buys me a plant because I love flowers, but in a vase, they like tend to go. And so over the years, he's started buying me plants. And or the girls, my daughters will buy me plants. And so this has become our annual Mother's Day tradition because it's always right around the Taurus new moon, kind of like within that time frame. And we do it as a family now. I used to do it, well, I think we've always done it as a family. I don't know that I've ever done this one alone. This one's a family one, but you can do it alone, or you can get your loved ones in on it. And while you're doing this one prayer, I would love for you guys to use, this is on my website. It's called Prosperity Prayer. And I was part of this group called the Cornucopia Club at a metaphysical church in Virginia. And I love this. Like, it's kind of ironic that autumn is my name, and like I'm always about like harvest and abundance and like, anyways, okay. Prosperity prayer. Divine Spirit, I open myself to the flow of increased prosperity in my life. I surrender all limitation and doubt, which act as a barrier to the acceptance of my birthright of universal abundance for myself and all with whom I am united in this intent. Increase for us by all positive means the expression of our divine inheritance. I come now in strength to produce in me and for all the unexpected abundance made possible. Assist us as we fulfill our purpose by the combined energy of our united intention. So shall it be now and forevermore. Amen. I love saying it like with a group. If you want, share this video, say it with a group, print it out. Got the ritual, copy it, and share it. Put it as a screensaver. I used to say this prayer once a day. I put it in the side door of my car. Every time I was driving my daughter to school, I was like, oh, okay, buckle your car seat, and I'd pull it up, and I'd be like, and I would just say it, almost to the point where I had it memorized. I never could quite get it memorized because of the cadence to it. It's almost like, I don't know if anybody was raised in the Christian church, saying the Lord's Prayer or anything. You every time you got to memorize it. Just for whatever reason, couldn't memorize this, but I love saying it, and maybe that's the purpose of not memorizing, so I actually have to sit there and concentrate on it. I don't know. Okay, that's where I'm going to leave you guys. The last thing you can do, nurturing daily ritual where you shower your wish garden with love, thanks, and water. You guys know I like to talk to plants. They like it when I talk to them, so you should try it. Find the perfect foliage to find you. So call in your garden supplies by using a variation of this statement. So what would it take for me to receive, find, discover, be gifted, etc.? The ideal plant, flower, seed, etc. to place my wish garden. So keep your energy open to receive, and that perfect perennial may just miraculously appear. A couple years ago, when my oldest, was going to kindergarten, we were planting a kindergarten like in the spring, so that next fall she was going to go to kindergarten. It was going to like grow over the summer with her. And my husband and I went to the store and we spent like $200 on like potting supplies and this and that and like an above ground thing. And I was like, I can't believe we like spent this much on something that we're only going to kind of have for a couple months because we're military, we move a lot. And then literally as we got home, our next door neighbors were PCSing, they were moving and they were like tearing up a garden, their like built-in garden that had probably been there. They'd probably been there like 3 or 4 years. And they were like, oh yeah, we don't know what to do with it. We're just gonna tear it up. We're like, wait, stop, we'll take it. And because it's military housing and everything was like very similar, it fit in our backyard. And I was like, I guess we could either, I don't remember if we ended up giving away I think we took it to the school. Anyways, and then we were able to like plant 2 gardens with our gardens. So it's just kind of fun when you release the way that you want things to come back and leave it open to the universe. That has been the big guiding message of this ritual. And we've got a really cool meditation in here to meet your spirit guides if you're up for that during this new moon. And last but not least, be sure to message me what your manifesting superpower is. Like mine is parking spots. I feel like I'm gonna like choose a new thing and then like master that. Maybe I have and I just can't think of it. Parking spots, like when we lived in Washington DC, that was like my jam. Message me your like manifestation superpower, what you always seem to manifest. Some people it's free coffee. I was on a free coffee spree for a while. Yep, every time. Like do you guys remember when like buying something for the car in front of you or car behind you was like a thing? I like would get that all the time, and I didn't even drive like a super awful car where people would be like, "Oh, better get this girl coffee." Like or maybe I just looked that terrible in their rearview mirror, like I should do this for her. I don't know what it was, but anyways, send me what yours is, and that's all for now. With love and light, Autumn.